Welcome to Aging Under the North Star, your trusted podcast to help guide you through aging, caregiving, and senior living. I'm your host, Veronica, and today I have a friend from Concierge Care, private duty home care agency here in Central Florida. We're going to discuss the many benefits of private duty home care. And today I have Fran McClintock. She goes we go way back.
Oh my gosh.
Like 15 years.
15 years.
Fran gave me my very first referral when I got in the industry. I worked in an assisted living facility, and Fran was so nice, because sometimes you go to these places and you knock on the door and you can potentially get FaceTime, but Fran was so welcoming. And I don't know if I ever admitted this, but I remember you were asking me questions and I had no idea what you were talking about because I was new to the industry. You were like, do you have a memory care? I'm like, mm-hmm.
I just believe everything she said.
But it worked out. I got my first move in. So thank you for joining me on Aging Under the North Star podcast. I'm so grateful that you are here with us. And so tell me, what are you doing now?
Sure. I am recently Senior Sales Liaison for Concierge Care Private Duty. And I'm loving it. I'm actually loving the change. I never thought I would want to go into sales. You know, I come from the social worker world for 20 years.
I always knew you'd be good at it. Your personality, your heart, your commitment. I think this is your place.
I love it. You know what I love the best about it is just being in touch and helping the families and the patients now. Like, that's what it's all about, really. I mean, the interaction, anything that you made a difference, any little thing, that makes my heart happy.
So tell me a little bit about the company.
Sure.
And then your role.
Absolutely. We have caregivers that they come from a registry, but they are certified, insured. They also are specialties in dementia and specific training. They go through background checks, obviously, for the safety of our patients, of our clients. And it's just that we have plentiful amount of them. So what happens is we do the assessment, and our nurse comes behind that and does their assessment with the family and the patient. And the caregiver get to see that request, and they get to pick and choose, almost like picking their VIP, person.
That's
so
awesome.
I think it's just a wonderful way that they're refreshed. They're not coming off, 40-hour shift per se and being like, oh, you need to go see this, new person coming off. They get to see that they have, 3 animals in the house, or they, they do have dementia, and they do need a little more TLC perhaps. Mm-hmm. And that is something they're very comfortable with. So they get to choose that
They get to choose the families.
Yeah, they get to choose their families.
That's
and
good
their
matchmaking.
And the clients, good matchmaking. And I think that makes my heart happy that they're well taken care of.
Absolutely.
So for me, my job, and I get to go into different SNFs and assisted livings, and I have a few different rehab hospitals. And just build those relationships with different partners. Some I've known for, tons of time through my career of working. Some are brand new people to me that are kind of also brand new maybe to that industry, or they've been around and I just never got a chance to meet them. Because they're from all different parts of this town, and, it's just a giant market. So when I get to go in and build a relationship, that makes me happy when they're welcoming me in.
That's amazing. And I think with your background, you have that mental health counseling background, social work background, you found your place, you found your niche, because you get to console the families and solve their pain. So although you're out there building those relationships with the referral sources, you also get to talk to the families and solve the pain that those, their caregivers that are struggling.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So, Fran, how do families know when it's time to bring private duty agency like yours to come into the home, and instead of constantly having to do it themselves?
Well, I think it just takes the family time and experience with their loved ones to know when that limit is, right? They don't want them to fall, or they don't want anything to happen to them to go back into the hospital system, because every time, let's face it, that they go in there, there's a little bit of a change. Mm-hmm. And then the family sees it, the daughter, the son, the spouses, they see it the most. Yeah. Whoever their main caregivers, and sometimes they're alone. They don't have family.
Right.
So when the family has to make that decision, I think it's just they're overwhelmed. They're looking at the safety of their loved. It just comes to a point where it's not safe for them, and they love them so much and they care, but they don't know where to go, right? So they'll look us up, or they'll be word of mouth, or if they're in a facility at the time, they'll ask their social worker or case management or nurses about our companies. And that's where we step in, and we try to make it a flawless, just put their mind at ease. Like, you can be a husband, you can be a wife, you can be a daughter. You don't have to sit there and not sleep. Some of them are like, I don't sleep because I'm up worried about, especially if someone has something like dementia, or not even just that they had surgeries, they fell, they broke their hip, they don't want them falling again. It's recovery, and home health lasts, but it's not 24/7.
Correct.
So we get to offer more, and we don't require 24/7. We work with them and what the need is.
So would you say like the best time for a caregiver to contact you or private duty for guidance is when they're completely overwhelmed, or to avoid being overwhelmed?
To avoid it.
Yeah.
Like, they see it, it doesn't have to be right when they're ready to tear their hair out of their head, perhaps. But if they see already, and they kind of visit them when they're getting skilled services, perhaps, and they see that they're going to have to be the ones to step in and do it, then I think that's a lot.
Yeah.
Because then they're like, I'm going to have to do that at home because these people aren't going home with me. Right? So,
Yes,
so there's that.
And like a lot of families, we hear this a lot, and I'm sure you've heard it culturally. Families tend to say, my job is to take care of my parents or my grandparents. And we get it. And of course, we want that too, right? But nowadays things have changed. So caregivers are no longer, like the women are no longer staying home. They actually have to go out and work. They have more kids. They have careers. They're traveling. So I think that's a great time. So that they're not getting overwhelmed. It's a great time to pull you guys in to the home.
Well, then they can live life together. It almost gives them that quality of life back.
Exactly.
You want them to still, the caregiver could do anything with them. Like, obviously they could do the dressing, bathing, toilet, the whole gamut, keeping activities of daily living. However, then when you talk about what the life is after that, do they want to watch, their favorite programs with you? Do they want to go to the favorite park that they used to go to? But the spouse has a hard time driving them there, or what if they get them out of the car and something happens? So you want that extra set of hands to be able to let it happen.
Absolutely.
They can build a menu with the couple, and they can, what do you need? And make it a good nutritional meal, and go shopping for them and cook it for them.
Right.
Go figure. If somebody do that for me, it'd be great. I love that.
I know. I
need my
would love
caregiver.
a companion.
And I need a constant companion. So,
Yes.
but I'm just, light housekeeping, laundry. I mean, anything that the loved one can't do anymore, and they want to spend the time instead with their, husband, wife, and that caregiver can lay that stress, for them. It's amazing.
So I'm glad you were going into like what a private duty caregiver can do when they come into the home. Like you mentioned, like helping with bathing and dressing, and maybe meal preparations, and driving the patient, or I should say loved one or client, to their shopping, or to their favorite park, or maybe attend a wedding. I mean, I've seen it all.
Oh yeah, I just saw one go to a wedding, and she was
you?
so excited. She was pacing the floors, waiting. It was at assisted living. I thought those are great things,
Yes.
because they still have to, they still want to go to family occasions.
Exactly.
And be a part of, they don't want to be excluded. And I think that isolation feel is giant when a caregiver can go with them, they travel with them, they can go anywhere, that they're just they don't even have to be seen. They can sit at a different, they don't even have to be sitting with them, but that they're visually there watching that client to make sure.
That brings me back to years ago when my firstborn was being baptized at church, and my great-grandmother was in a wheelchair. We should have had a private duty caregiver, although we picked her up, but we forgot. And we were all up front baptizing the baby. She didn't get a good view. We forgot that she was sitting in the corner of the chair. And if we had a caregiver, the caregiver would have thought, let me
wheel her where she can see.
Yes. And so it's just those little things, because we're so preoccupied that the caregiver can be like our second hand, our second peace of mind.
It's never intentional, because your families are doing family stuff. They're doing their life, and then so the caregiver is just that little extra, like you said. We don't have to think about it, but that's what they're there to do, right? I mean, I guess be that, like you said, should have been, oh, let me move her.
Little things
But
I
I
didn't
mean,
think
the
about.
family's in a moment.
We're in a moment.
They're doing about, so
Yes,
that's important.
yes. Now let me ask, because there's a lot of misconceptions. So is private duty companion services the same as home health care?
So no, the answer is no, because your home health care that would get ordered by a doctor or a social worker or case management is something that's temporary, right? I mean, this is like you're literally a continuation of care from, a nursing home, hospital, so on. And so that continuation of care gets to that home health care services, which we get called sometimes on accident. And I'm like, well, the thing is they have like PT or OT, like you're saying, those activities of daily living. They're there to make sure that happens, but they only come in, not very long in the day. So they come in and do their physical therapy and then they leave. The occupational therapy comes at a different time and then they leave. Same with the speech if they needed it, or wound care. The thing is then they're gone and the person's left alone again.
Right. So they're there getting like the skilled services,
just the skill.
paid by insurance.
Right. And a nurse, if there needs to be a nurse involved. Ours are home health aides and CNAs. So it's not the nurse. So it's not taken away from their skilled service. They can still have the home health aides doing their services. And then we can also learn from the physical therapist maybe what the exercises are post-surgery. And then we can kind of take over when that stops, because that eventually is going to stop.
Right.
And then they're going to have nobody there. But the caregiver will be the one that's left there. So they can continue working with them, which is a kind of a nice thing, too.
And that makes sense, because when you receive home health care, like you're not typically not driving, you're homebound, right?
Right.
But you can have your caregiver service.
Correct.
Your caregiver service can come in and, work side by side with
take them to follow-up appointments, because they're going to need to. Now your home health aides, they can't do that.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, good. If the loved one's in another state and this one's doing this, the caregiver's like, oh no, they got to go to the follow-ups if it's a surgical thing,
And a lot of seniors forget about the follow-ups because it's stressful. Like, I have another follow-up appointment and I have to.
How do I get there?
Get on hold. How do I get there? I don't want to burden anyone. But if you have, your services, that's an additional bonus. What is something like? How would you describe when families say it's too expensive?
Sure. So we tend to. We can work, couple hours to 24 hours a day with them. Whatever the need is, or if they can't afford it at the time, we can work within their budget for that. They could do a few hours or 4 hours or whatever, and then a few days a week, and just start to see what it looks like, because what happens is they get home and I only want maybe 3 or 4 hours or 4 hours, 3 days a week. Like I'm gonna take them home and see, because nobody really knows, right, unless you go home and see what's needed. Yeah. So they could add more hours, or if they start in a lot of hours, and they can reel those in as time gets better for that, for the patient or the client. That's what I see happening, is because sometimes they want to hire with more hours, or sometimes they can't afford it and go, I could just do 3 days a week, about 4 hours a day, and that's what I got. And I'm like, okay, who's going to, the need is there. So yes, whatever we can do to help you. Absolutely. But then they'll call later and be like, I need 5 days, or can we do lengthier time, like 6 hours? So it just depends what the need is. But I think they truly have to be home sometimes. Right. Not everybody, but sometimes, to see exactly what is needed and then work from there. Right. And then it's like, I understand the affordability. That's why we, start low, and that's why they want to. And I get that, because I'm not them having to pay for that. Yeah. But then, also if they had a long-term care policy, I ask that immediately, like, hey, is there a long-term care policy, like a John Hancock, MetLife, something that you've paid into? And sometimes they forget, because it's paid off already. Yeah. And they're like, oh, you know what, I have it, and it pays for the caregiver.
Amazing.
Or the veteran, which we want to salute, we want to honor, want to make sure they have care, and they have that aid and attendance, fabulous perk for them to have. Absolutely. They earned it.
Exactly.
As they should be able to use it. Yeah. So they can use it with our services as well.
I love that. So I love how you mentioned the payer source, because that was my next question. Because, and you also mentioned, you know, aging in place and continuum of care, and your service is a great way to do that, because like you said, when you discharge from the hospital or the skilled nursing facility or anything like that, your services can come along with the home health company, and you have peace of mind. The families have peace of mind. There's someone coming in and checking in on my loved one, helping my loved one, making sure that those medication pill boxes are, you know, stocked and filled, and you know, there's light housekeeping involved, and my loved one's going to the doctor. So
it feels like they can actually have a life, because they have to work, and they're calling neurotic, you know, and scared because they're home, and where's the help, and how are we gonna take time off? We just took time off because they fell or they had surgery, and how am I gonna take it now that they're home? There's that worry, you know, and so anything we can do to ease that worrisome and give back their life and give peace of mind to care. It's all about peace of mind for, you know.
Absolutely, peace of mind is big. And then what about when you get those referrals from maybe family members, right? And you call the loved one or the client, and they're like, I don't need help yet. A lot of people feel, you know, a lot of, let's say, I'm going to be honest, the aging population just don't want to lose their independence. So they'll say, I don't need help. I don't want to be a burden. It's common. How do you handle that?
And we want to respect that, right? I mean, they've earned this through the years, this respect, and they're not ready to lose these roles. I mean, that's like grief, you know, them losing their independence. So you wanna honor that. I still want to talk about the service with them if they're open to hearing about it, and let them go home with the information.
Exactly.
Because once they go home and they realize their state of mind might have to change, as hard as it is, you see, it's still hard on them to say, oh, I need help. And then they don't have, you know, daughters and sons that live close. It's just them two. And I've had that many instances where it's just my husband and wife. We don't have kids, or we have kids and they're in another state. But they have to see, right? Only through experience can they get beside that. Because you have to honor it. You can't push anybody to do anything. That's their right.
It's true. But they need to have that open mind, you know, like you said, the husband-wife situation, you never know. Like, you think you can rely on your partner, but that partner has caregiver burnout.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give them some peace of mind. Give them some respite hours.
Respite, absolutely. Respite care. Take the respite care. Nobody will. You know what? They don't know what the respite care is. And if you say, hey, take a week, we could be there, and you can go get your nails done. You can get your hair done. If it's a gentleman, get your hair cut. Go, you know, just go out walking. Go meet with your buddies. Just something for yourself. Go lock yourself in your room for 4 hours.
Go read
just
a book.
Do something.
And let the caregiver make the meal. Do the light housekeeping.
And so
keep your loved one, you know, occupied with.
They don't think of this respite care that they can provide, but it's so true.
Yeah. And
then when they get it, then it's like, oh, this is a whole other world.
Exactly.
But only, like you said, respect it, give education on it, and then when they see they need it, you'll be surprised. You know, they do come around for the phone call at least. So
definitely. And what would you say if you were telling our audience who may be looking for choosing a private in-home care agency, what should you tell families to look for?
Sure. I mean, I don't from what they need to look for in caregivers, or just looking for agencies in general.
Agencies in general.
In general, I mean, they can do their research. Most places, if they're just coming from home, I mean, they can ask their doctor's offices or word of mouth sometimes. But I like to still look at Google reviews and things like that, and do some research, or just do a search. I mean, we have really good reviews, thankfully, of the caregivers and their service, and our team is a very family-oriented team. So if they see that, they could give us a call from the website, which is what we get often. We get this website, you know, referral, and it's those people that do that investigation on their own. But if they're in a nursing home or hospital, they luckily have their case manager or social worker teams to do that, and they have our information right there, and they could give the choices and
Yeah.
have them do that research on their own. And then they pick, they might want to interview us and interview another, another company as well. And whatever they see fit is what they do. There's no pressure on. We
Right.
don't have contracts. We don't have, you have to have money down for us or anything like that. You stop and start, you're kind of your VIP of the situation.
That's good.
So
they're not like locked into anything.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely
I
not.
know that's like a fear that we get that question all the time too.
Yeah.
Like, am I going to be locked into a commitment? Is this how long is the contract for? And so I know there's a lot of skepticism. And then what I always tell families is to go with a reputable company, with an actual, where your caregivers are insured, because you get individuals that will post on maybe Craigslist or something, and I'm here to be your caregiver, but you want to make sure that your caregivers are screened.
Screened, insured, certified under the state, educated with different, if they do orthopedic things, they have to know what's going on with that. If they learn about dementia and Alzheimer's, they need to be specified. So all this education they get is what the caregivers have behind them going in.
Yeah.
So the thing is, if you don't research and ask us, and we'll tell you right away. We do all the background checks. They're in there like to protect themselves and protect the person.
Exactly.
You don't want anything to happen to your client. So this is what stands out above everybody, right? Like you should have that knowledge, and sometimes they don't know what to ask. So you feed that information to them because they wouldn't think of it otherwise.
So if I were to contact your agency and I selected you, all your caregivers have the background screening and all that, are you guys gonna come in and do like a care plan with me for my loved one?
Sure. So how it comes from the referral comes per se. If it came to me, I'd go and do the initial little assessment on just things that, okay, what do they need? How are they functioning now? What equipment they might have? Just what's going on in a broad base, right? For me, I just, some touch base on all of that. Who's in the home with them? Who's not? If there's animals, just the whole thing. But I do put an email out, and my nurse gets that assessment, right? That gets my information. They even go above and go and see them face to face, my nurse, and she does her own assessment because she's the expertise. I'm not clinical. Our, sales isn't clinical. So what happens is my nurse goes and does it, and she will help provide the client-based care plan just for them. So I always say your little VIP program, right?
That's awesome.
So it's either a caregiver at the home, or you're making it when they're going to a facility, and you're making it with, the facility and the loved one, and the client is always involved in the hearsay of what's going on. So everybody feels one unit.
Yeah. Because no
This is the
client is the
goals.
same, right?
Right.
So that's
And
perfect.
the caregiver has to follow that care plan.
Yeah.
And then we can always add on if there's other needs as they're going on into the home.
Yeah.
We can add on to that care plan, but it's always set specifically individualized for them, and that's what I like about that.
I love that. Yeah, because if you just like assume every home is going to be the same, every client is going to be the same, it's not.
No, ma'am, no.
And I guess my final question before we wrap up is like, how can private duty care work alongside? Well, we talked about home health care, but hospice or assisted living or in a memory care.
Sure. So for the assisted living side, we have what's called the Home Sweet Home program, which I like the name. But it's a transition. So if they're going from, say, their home and they went to the skilled nursing facility to get rehab, and now perhaps they're unable to go back home alone, right? So they're having to find placement, which is where, you all come in.
Where I come in.
It's where they all come in. And find placement, a safe base for them, a place that feels like home. So what we can do is if they meet with us, we can either have a caregiver go to the new apartment or new place in the assisted living and set it up for them prior. Just make sure their stuff is unpacked from there because they can't go back home.
Right.
So they can get everything together and unpack for them, get food they might want, get it looking like a home.
It's like their own personal concierge.
A concierge.
Yeah.
concierge care
Concierge care.
before even going in. So then when they're ready to be released, it's all that stress is alleviated. I mean, if they have family to do that, that's great. But if they don't, there's that.
Right.
And if the family rather do that, then when they're ready to be released from the skilled nursing facility to the new home for them, then we join them the day they leave so that we can get them acclimated. Per se, memory care is a big one for assisted living, where I would feel that the caregiver is there to do the transition, which could be so difficult when you're
Right.
waking up somewhere brand new, or when you're walking
Yeah.
in. It could make you irritable, make you sad. I
Yeah.
mean, these are all the emotions
Just
that we
having
go through.
that one person next to you
That's it.
that they recognize. Like,
Yeah.
I always tell my families, if you can, when you transition your loved one into assisted living or memory care, have at least 3 to 7 days minimum, bring in, a caregiver to help with that transition. The light switch, where's the bathroom, where's the dining room, just to get acclimated. I think that's like the best thing you can do.
They can go to the social programs with them.
Yes.
Go to all the meals. So they start seeing familiar faces, because it's the caregiver they see the familiar face with all the time, but then they get to be introduced to the people they're going to see every day,
Yeah.
day in, day out. And like you said, it does take like a good week of, okay, this has become a routine. And you
Right.
want to build that routine. So the caregiver there is to navigate you through these changes, which you're very unfamiliar with, the client. So I think that would be great to have.
So it's like the whole continuum of care. Like, we can all work together. We can work side by side to make peace of mind for families, make it as easy and as comfortable for the client, and that's most important. When I use services like yours, it's like, Fran, I have someone for you. I have someone transitioning to assisted living. Or it's, Fran, I have someone who just does not want to go into assisted living. They want to age in place at home, which is number one.
Yeah.
And I think we can work aligned. There are so many programs out there for our aging population, and I think you're just like another one to help with our seniors here in Central Florida.
Thank you so much for that. And I love the opportunity to just keep helping as much as that we can. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.